Hello and welcome back to the Fit and Fabulous at Any Age podcast. My name is Brooklyn, alongside with my amazing coaches at Fierce Queen Fitness, where we teach women how to achieve the body of their dreams at any age without the extremes. I've got my co-host here today, my mom, Camille, who is 57, my sister, Dakota, who is 29, and our coach, Amanda, who is 44. Each of us have been through our own transformations physically, mentally, and emotionally, and we've helped hundreds of women do the exact same thing. So today's episode is about from shame to strength, reclaiming confidence at any age and every phase of life. Because, with all of us, we're all different decades of life. We've all been through different things in life. We're going to talk about how we've reclaimed our health, how we've reclaimed our bodies at every phase. So let's go ahead and start today. Whoever wants to chime in here. Was there a point in time with you guys where you felt like where you lost confidence and you felt like you kind of lost your identity, um, and kind of lost who you were, trying? Yeah. So go ahead and dive in.
Yeah,
Start.
that makes me tear up because when you put that down as our subject, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. It wasn't too long ago, but I remember I had a really big calling in church. I mean, I was serving in my church and it was a really big position. I was taking care of a lot of women and worrying about a lot of women. And plus I had my teenage daughters at home. And like we had been through a lot of stuff as a family. But I think personally, I had gotten through that. I had started working out again. I had started doing the things I loved again, but I was reaching burnout like crazy. It was big burnout. And I remember, like, I'm going to get kind of, but I remember being in the basement and I was talking to my husband and he was on the phone and I'm like, I just want to go up to heaven. Like, I'm tired. I am so deep down tired. I just want to leave this place. I'm so tired. He's like, Camille, you got to be careful who you're spending your time around. And I started to think, I'm like, you're right. What is going on with me? I mean, I'd been in this really big time of life that I was doing and serving absolutely everybody to where I could barely breathe. I was worrying about everybody and I was feeling weaker than I ever felt in my whole life. And I'd been through some big things in my life. And I remember, like, this is going to get kind of religious, spiritual, but I remember I said a prayer. I'm like, Heavenly Father, I don't know who I am anymore. I am tired. I feel weaker than I've ever felt in my whole life. I am so tired. Please show me my strengths. And I remember things started coming to my mind, but it took a long time. I mean, I went back to the gym. That was a huge reclaiming of my life. I had to go back to the gym. That there were some people that saw me there. They're like, what are you doing there, Camille? What are you doing here? Like, is it okay that you're here? And I'm like, well, yeah. And I remember going upstairs on the treadmill and I saw a friend on the treadmill and I was in tears. I'm like, somebody just looked at me and said, Camille, what are you doing here? And he's like, you don't let those sons of bitches get to you. And I'm like, oh, cute. And he's like, really, Camille, don't let anybody get to you. You just be who you are and you keep going. And I remember that gave me a big boost because when you start changing who you are, and the things that you wanted, well, that everybody else sees you do and that you're expected to do, people are going to start looking at you funny and they're going to start thinking things. And it's a really hard, it's just hard to get through that. I remember just crying that day and I was really glad he was there because he was very kind to me. And I really had to push hard. I had to push hard through everything that everybody expected me to do. And like I still kept everything the same, but there was a strength that rose up in me that was like, you're doing this, Camille. There's no turning back. You're doing it. And then there was something about, I started working out with my old trainer, and that was a big deal. I started working out, and instead of my body feeling, I was so tired, I started feeling alive again. And then there was something that hit me about a month or two into that and on fire. And I woke up with this dream and that I was supposed to compete. And that's when I started having this big goal of competing. Like it took me about a year to conquer that, but there's something that rises up in you when you're at the weakest point of your life to where something rises up in you and you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm drowning. And that was pretty incredible because I was on fire. And you do have to go against the grain of what people think and expect of you. You really do. And that didn't stop. I mean, I still kept going against the grain. I still kept in my area in this part of the country, people kind of expect you to sit back at my age and just start enjoying your life and, being comfortable. And it wasn't about that more. Like I wanted to get active and healthy again and healthier than I've ever been. It was a goal about competing. And that those goals are boy, they're life changing. So that's kind of my story but it was a hard place to be. But I pushed and pushed and pushed.
I think that's really important for our listeners to hear because I think a lot of women hit a certain age and they kind of just like, well, this is it. This is my life. I guess this is where I'm at and this is it. I'm just going to be here forever. And I feel like that's a really hopeless place to be at and a really defeating place to be at for a lot of women. And I see it even with my age group, women who are moms who, are giving everything to their kids, kind of like you, mom, like you were giving everything to your kids and everybody else, but like there was no pouring back into yourself. And I feel like women, like, unfortunately, and we talked about this last week, like it's like very normalized. That's fine. Like, it's okay to pour out to everybody else and everything else but yourself. And I feel like for women your age, mom, like, it's very normalized for women to just completely lose themselves and everything else except for, like, I don't know, and then that's where we see a lot of, like, health issues pop up. This is where we see a lot of women struggling with not only, like, their health, but their weight, struggling with their confidence, struggling with their mental health, like, having, like, suicidal ideation, like, wanting to be done with life, and I feel like, yes, like, I love that you said, you know, you get to a point where you're done. I think for a lot of women, they get to that point and they say, "This is it. This is it for me." But what I wanna tell women too is, like, she didn't just say, "This is it. I'm done." She said, "I'm fucking sick of living like this." Because you have to get to a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot live like this anymore. I'm sick of waking up and feeling like this in my body. Sick of my mental health being so awful. I want more and I want to feel better. And I feel like for you, mom, like it didn't just happen for you. Yes, I think you had like some things that just happened, but like I think women look at you and they're like, oh, she just did it. But like you didn't. I saw you push against the grain with your community and in your culture. You pushed against a lot of what people expected of you. You said, I'm not going to just like suffer anymore in silence and just be this person that everybody expects me to be. You leaned more into who you were supposed to be. You kind of said, I want to do this for not only myself, but also like for my family and my kids. Cause I remember seeing you in the version of you that had anxiety, the version of you that was struggling was a version of you that like I'd seen before when I was younger. And it was like a really scary version of you where you kind of just like you weren't able to be there for us because you were so disconnected. And so as your kid and like hearing this from you, like when you rose up, you not only rose up for yourself, but you rose up for your kids. And like you have been able to be there for us through like really big shit. But the only reason why you've been able to do that is because you stepped up and you started taking care of yourself again. But you wouldn't have been able to do that if you wouldn't have gone through and started taking care of yourself. So, like, for the moms and the women that are listening to this and, like, yeah, like, I need to step up, like, remember, you stepping up for you in your life isn't just always about you, too. It's about stepping up for your family. So, like, I've seen this with mom. Like, we went through some really hard shit this year as a family. And because mom was mentally in such a good place, like, you were able to be there for, like, all the shit that went down, like, all of the shit that went down. But it was because of, like, the fact that you finally rose up and you said, "I'm sick of living like this. I can't live in this little place anymore of shrinking myself." And so, I just wanted to tell you that, like, yes, like, you overcame, but you overcame and it made you a better mom. It made you a better you, made you happier. And it also, like, I feel like for you too, it's helped you help me as a mom now, like, because 'cause I'm a mom. It's helped you kind of, like, talk me through things. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's everything that you went through and deciding to, like, rise up for you, it helped you, but also helped me too, and I'm sure it helped Dakota, and it
Yeah.
helped all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that a lot of the time, like when I'm talking to my clients about things and stuff, I'm like, your kids are watching you. Your kids learn from your example. example. And mom definitely is a great example to us. We're so lucky, Brooklyn, to have a mom who's just so great. Like, yeah, I mean, gone against the grain, like just through everything our family's been through. And
Well, and
we're just so lucky to have mom. She's so great.
very sweet girls. Well, I do think when you're going through hard things, like when I made a goal about a competition, and this was a personal goal, and I do think there are things that are God given and they are meant for you. They're on your journey and they're for you to grasp. And sometimes you really just need to dream big and know that you can do it. You can do it. You can do anything. He gives you big dreams. You just need to know you can do it. But one thing I remember as I was going through it, and I'm like, I started looking at women that just rose up to the top. They didn't just stay mediocre, they rose to the top. And I started looking at what they did in their life, and I'm like, they don't care what anybody thinks. They don't care. They post what they want. They don't care and they just do it. And that was a big deal for me. I remember like looking at people like Grandma Moses. I mean, she was a grandma and she started painting. And you just start looking at people that have conquered these big dreams in life. And those become who you look at and and you know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be one of those people. And it does help pull you out. I mean, there's always those people that you look at and that helps to have um, people like that in your life. Big dreams are big. They're important at those times in life. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing. And it kind of comes back to like, I think any woman can relate to that because I don't know. I feel like some people, I was telling Jordan this. I said, some people, like, I feel like they kind of float in their life. Like, I don't know. I'm like, did you not go through anything hard? Because I talk to them and it's like there's a wall. But some people go through like really hard things and it causes them to get to a point where they're like, okay, I need to make a change here. I need to make a shift here. So the next person I want to ask this about is Amanda, because Amanda, you have gone through something really hard. You don't have to share
Oh, no.
what you went through,
It makes me
but
feel good to be able to, yeah.
yeah,
So, I've talked about this before, and I'm very open about it because I realize that if it can help one person, it is so worth it. I lost my first husband, 2016. Actually, Camille, thank you so much for sharing your story. It really was, wow, it was such a good eye opener for women that are probably afraid to reach out because my husband passed from suicide, and it was, it's very taboo. Mental health is come a long way, but I feel like it's still very like, oh, just suck it up. You're fine. Oh, you're just having a bad day. And it's so much more than that. So, I obviously was deep in grief, complicated grief, because I felt guilt and shame around how, everything happened and I should have been able to see that he wasn't okay. And I turned to food, like big time. Growing up, I grew up in a house, I don't know if you queens can relate, you finish your plate because, we don't have a lot of money. You don't take it for granted. You finish your plate. Well, I was always a kid that sat there and was like, I'm not eating it. I didn't like anything. It definitely changed. I love all food now. But back then I would sit there and be like, no. And my mom would be like, you're gonna sit there until it's all gone. And I would sit there for hours and be like, no. And my nickname was Bones. So because I my hobby. And I always kind of started emotional eating with my teen, but nothing where it was like a health hazard and I was okay. So I didn't think much of it. I'm like, yeah, I ate some extra ice cream today, whatever. But when he passed, I'm not a drinker. I didn't want to like do anything crazy. And I looked at like, hey, I'm not shooting up. I'm just overeating and eating everything I want when I want, and I'm allowed because of grieving. Well, it worked until it didn't. I was shoving my feelings down, so I was numb. I wasn't getting any better. I wasn't healing. I was hiding from the world. I would just go to work and come home and hide and eat. And that was pretty much my life. And it wasn't until I had my doctor's appointment, they were like, your blood pressure is really high and you're like all these other things start popping up, high cholesterol. And I never had any health issues. I was always extremely healthy, like a runner in high school, like very athletic. Like I was like, how does this happen? Between that and I'll never forget, I think a lot of queens can relate. I'm sure you coaches too. Like I saw a photo of myself at a family function and I actually had to look at it really close because I like was like, who is that? And it was me. And I was like, okay, that's the final straw. I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic, all these things when I grew up in a body that was known as bones. I ate myself to the point my health is now declining. My mental health's declining because I'm not facing like my feelings head on. And it was just, I was like, something needs to change. That's when I started therapy. I highly recommend it. It's so amazing to be able to not just turn to food and shove your feelings. And I found Fierce Queen and realized I really need help, but not just with the calories, because any program can give you calories. I needed help with the mental and the mindset and healing my relationship with food. And that was so eye-opening to me because no one else, I had coached before, no one else offered that. They were just like, you're not eating, your calories need to be cut. You need to exercise more. And I'm like, I'm doing all that, but I'm binging because I'm hungry and my emotions are like through the roof and I need help. And no one else helped with that. So this is where like Fierce Queen is different because we get it. We've all been in different situations, very like low places where your emotional mental health is probably bigger part of the journey than your physical as far as that. So I was so grateful. And now it's like I just like look at how far I've come because of Fierce Queen and my coach and just, even learning from my clients, like things that they go through. And I'm like, oh, kind of reminds you like this is why I do what I do. So I'm just so grateful. I can now like, actually I worked through my journey, my trauma the right way, and I didn't just keep eating to the point where I was like end up in the hospital or something. It was scary. I put on like probably close to 50 pounds total. So I'm just so grateful that yeah, I found this amazing community of women. Coach Brooklyn saved me some so much that could have potentially down the road been worse.
Love that. Thanks for sharing, Amanda. I
Yeah, of
think that
course.
that's really powerful. Thanks for being vulnerable
Yeah.
and sharing what you've been through because I think that's like it's heavy and there's things we go through in life that, really do flip us around and kind of put us in places that we just never thought like, man, I never thought I could get that low and be that dark and be that like depressed and it can totally flop our health. And I feel like that's what happens as we get older, like I feel like either old traumas start to pop up or new traumas like in your case Amanda and a mom, like it all kind of like starts to pop up and it's just you kind of get to a point where you're just it's like, "Oh my gosh." So really like for the women listening to this, like the struggle is normal. You are not alone. Like, I want women to know that, like, you are not bad. Like, there's nothing you've done bad. It's just recognizing, okay, like, things are bad right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't get better and you can't work on it. And there isn't help for you out there to overcome. Um, so I mean, if unless Dakota, did you want to share a point in time? I don't know. It's up to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, mine's like kind of over a span of a couple years. So when I was in high school, I kind of went through some stuff to where I started to have like suicidal thoughts. And like I literally had like plans on how I would carry it out. Mom doesn't know this. But I had plans and that was a really dark time. And so I started turning to food. And I also had these painkillers in my desk drawer next to my bed. If somebody's dealing with this, please reach out to somebody. Please reach out for help. But I would take them at night to help me fall asleep because I couldn't sleep. And it was a dark, dark time. But I had a plan. I had, XYZ anyways. That was a dark time. And so then I started turning to food. I started binging. I started having all my stomach issues on top of this. Like there was just so much to it. And I remember, and then I like went to college, I was still dealing with all this. I went to college and I stepped on this scale, and then when you're a freshman in college, you hear about the freshman 15. I was like, I don't want to do that. And as a girl who's played sports and always known for like having this athletic body type, I stepped on the scale and I was up what 10, 15, 20 pounds. I don't even remember, but I remember stepping on the scale and seeing that number and being like, oh my gosh. And then like I'd look in the mirror in my college dorm room and be like, what has happened? Like I didn't even recognize who I was. My clothes were fitting different. My mental health was down the drain, even though like I acted like, oh my gosh, I'm this freshman in high school having the best time, posting all the highlights of my life right now. But that was probably like one of the lowest times in my life that I can think back on, and what got me kind of through that is me recognizing, wow, like you're not okay. I had to realize that. And I had to reach out to some people to be like, listen, this is what's going on and I don't know what to do. And I had to work on my mental health first before I started dealing with, my nutrition, my exercise, whatever that was. I had to figure out mental health first and then my nutrition and exercise. When I felt like I was in a better place, that's when I started like working very closely with Brooklyn and like figuring out how to eat balance and stuff like that. It's kind of all goes hand in hand, but really at the end of the day, it was my mental health that I had to figure out first. And so it's mental health is a huge thing. And I feel like when I was going through that, social media just kind of barely started becoming a thing. And now there's a lot more access to things. And so like social media, it can be really good. It can also be really bad. And so that being said, like at that time, I don't feel like I had the proper access to the things I needed without talking to people like in person about the things. So now it's really cool because like there's a lot of help that you can get on social media or even through like the internet through things like there's therapy and counseling and all that stuff online. But mental health is, I mean, it's the forefront of everything.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Coda. I'm sorry you went through such a hard time. And of course, like if you ever go through that again, like I feel like we've all of us in our family, we have all been through our mental health struggles. And, again, if you ever go through that, like I love you and I care for you and you're my sister. So I'm sorry you went through that though. That's really heavy. I've been there for sure. I think like, relating back to what Dakota's been through, Amanda, and even my mom, like, we all kind of hit this place of just like low. Whatever that low is for you. I don't know if everybody, I didn't realize everybody didn't struggle with like major mental health issues until like I started talking to people. I'm like, oh, not everybody struggles with this. Okay. So, if you are struggling though, like, first of all, like reach out and get some help, like go to therapy, like get some help. And, once you get that into a good place, like realize like you're not broken. Like maybe you're just expecting too much of yourself and you're pushing too hard and you just need to get some help. Like that is okay. That is normal. But there's nothing wrong with you. Like just reach out and get some help. Talk to someone. But I feel like as women, whether it be from a mental health standpoint, physical standpoint, or all the above, I feel like they all are very intrinsic. Usually women, when they're mentally struggling, their physical health declines as well because we stop taking care of ourselves. We try to cope. And for a lot of women either cope, I feel like people cope with like three different ways: drugs, food, or alcohol. Let's be honest. And for a lot of women, we turn to food. Growing up, we grew up Mormon, and in the Mormon church, you weren't allowed to drink. So I didn't drink honestly until I was like 26. And so I never really drank. I was like Dakota. I would binge eat. I would eat and eat and eat and eat. And that was like Amanda and even like my mom. Like that's how we've all gotten to the place where we look in the mirror or we even look at photos and we're like, who's this person? I don't even recognize her anymore. So I feel like let's kind of talk about that that shift that happens of like, whoa, who am I now? Whether it be from aging or we just talked about the struggles and challenges that we go through and how that can kind of feel like a little bit of a trap, like, because you're kind of comparing yourself to the version of you. Like I see this a lot with women my age. They're like, well, I don't look like I did when I was 20. And I'm like, because you're not 20. Like you got to stop comparing yourself to what you look like when you were 20. You're in your 30s and 40s now. You have had children. You have had a lot of hormonal shifts. So let's talk about that. Like the kind of, who am I now and the unrealistic expectations and even comparisons that women come up against through these changes in life. Mom's like, me, I have an answer.
Well, being my age, people do expect you, like where I come from. Like, I always thought I had this amazing mom, and my mom's amazing. So I always expected Or I always thought I needed to be like her, and I'm not. I'm just not. So that was hard for me because I'm just not like my mom. I'm not like other women. I love other things. I needed more out of life. I just needed more. And that's not a bad thing. It really isn't. But at my age, some women probably look at me and they're like, are you okay? But sometimes you just need more. And, one thing that I started doing that really helped me out is I remember I started making lists, and I think I've talked about this before, but I started making lists of the good things about me in my life. And I think that's really important as women. When you get to that low part in your life, when you see yourself so low that you can't see anything good about yourself, you feel so weak. It's important to sit down, whether it's in the morning, fresh in the morning, or late at night, and really, what is there good about me? What's good about me? What do I do good? And then start, as each day progresses, make something more about yourself. And there will be things that come to your mind that's good about you, but of goals that you want to achieve. Like, I think it's really important as you get older to keep setting goals. Don't let go of those goals, because that's what keeps you on fire in life. Don't ever let go of those goals and know you can achieve them. No matter what your age, it's never, ever too late. Never. And I think that's important as women, because we do get in this mindset, oh, I'm getting older. It's okay. Like, I should just be a grandma. I should sit back. I should take care of my kids. I should be happy and content. If you want more, go get more. I mean, think about those things that are important to you, that were important to you when you were young. Don't let go of those things that are important to you. I think that's really important as women and men. Don't ever stop setting goals for yourself. Do those hard things. They'll make you feel good inside. So that's a really big deal for me that kind of kept me going. So
Yeah. I think it's really important that you are who you are. You're not trying to be like your mom, because here's the thing is now you're setting an example. I talked about how great it is to have mom as our mom. She's setting an example to us that it's okay to want more from life than to just be, a mom, to just than just to be a grandma, because where we live, it's so normalized. Okay, you get married, you have kids. That's it. What's next? You be a mom. And so that's the thing is mom setting this example for us and, women out there that it's okay to go get what you want and to have goals and aspirations and to, have a drive and passion for life outside of your family. Like, of course, your family is still there in the forefront, but to really just live the life that you want to live and
be your own
be your
person.
own person.
It's
That's,
important.
yeah.
I love that my girls have gone out in life. Just do what they love. I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
but mom, I told you this the other day, like I wouldn't have I would not be where I am today without you.
Hmm.
Because from every big decision I've made in life, I have gotten pushed back, let's be honest, by the other parent. And then I've gotten pushed back from my culture and the people in my life. So, like, when I decided to start my business and make that huge financial investment, you were like, do it. Like, you were like, you're going to make it happen. You were like, all like, do it, Brooklyn. Like, I know you can do it. I had other people in my life, I mean, besides Jordan, like you and Jordan are like my biggest like believers, but I had other people in my life literally telling me, like, that's stupid. Like, you're never going to make it work. Like, what a stupid financial decision when I started this business. And look at where it's at this point. Like, like we're what, 7 years in now, like, and it's thriving. Same with going pro and getting my pro card. Like, through the whole thing, you're like, you're going to make it happen. Like, you got it. Like, even like 3 years ago, you bought me a shirt that said IFBB Pro. And I was like, Mom, I'm never going to wear that. And you're like, you'll wear it when you go pro. And now I wear it at the gym. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. But it's because of you and like the way that, so you always say like, oh, I'm not my mom. But the thing is, I love grandma. I love grandma. Grandma is like the greatest grandma ever. But I'm pretty sure like if I was doing the things I'm doing at this phase of my life and she was my mom, she would probably be like, ooh, I don't know, Brooklyn. Like, I don't
Taboo.
know. I don't know. Where you're like, yes, like you got this. And so like you are who you are because of who you are has propelled, I know for me in my life has pushed me to be where I'm at in my life. And that's
Yeah.
it, period.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't need a grandma Kennedy. I needed a Camille as a mom.
Okay. Come
And God knew that. God knew that
aw.
100%. Yeah.
Well, and I
So
do, when you're on a journey, there are people that come into your life that help propel you. There really are. And you'll meet them. Like Amanda's shaking her head. I mean, there are people that you are meant to meet to help you on this journey to be who you are trying to be, right? I mean, I just see Amanda shaking her head.
Amanda, share with us what you're thinking.
So, like I said, I had coaches before Coach Brooklyn, and their knowledge was outstanding. They knew everything about nutrition, everything about, the muscles and all that stuff and how to, tone up. But I just felt like there was like a disconnect. And I just felt like they were so nice and they were very responsive. They try to help, but a couple of them, like the one girl was super sweet. It's not her fault. Her genetics she was blessed, so she never had any weight issues. She's like, "Whoa, you're struggling with binge eating today. Like, just don't do it." She's like, "You just have to remember why you're doing this." And I'm like, so
I can't with that
and she was,
response. I
yeah,
can't with that response. Oh,
right, and she was very
it makes my
nice.
skin
She was
crawl.
very nice, but
Yeah.
she never struggled with it. So like, there was that disconnect when I was struggling. I didn't know, like, what else to tell her besides, like, I'm struggling with this. Like, what do I do? And she's like, don't eat. Like, just eat what I gave you. And I'm like, so
No,
I felt like
easy.
it was me. And I'm like, there's something wrong with me because the coach is like, just don't do it. Like, what are you doing? And so it wasn't until I met Brooklyn, she's like, she said, what? Like, what? Like, the binge eating is very common and it's very like fixable. You just have to have the right support. And I was like, finally, so I'm being seen, I'm being heard. I had the person I need in the right part of my journey, my right part of my life that what I thought it's just I'm the problem. So it was just so great to be like, yeah, I get it. I've binge eat, and I was like, and she's admitting it as a coach because a lot of coaches I think that do have that problem are like, oh, I don't have that problem. I always eat the right stuff, and I'm like, really?
I question that. Or you're right, Amanda. They just like I saw a post the other day, and I'm just gonna say this is it really bothered me. I saw a post, I was gonna screenshot it and send it to you, Dakota, because it was so arrogant. It was just she had just won her pro card and she just said her quote was, everything I said I would do, I did it. And then she went off to like say how awesome she is. And she just kind of went off and like how amazing she is. And I sat there and I said, wow, some people really like I don't know if they're not sure how to like talk about their struggles or they truly just don't see that other people do struggle. And I feel like some coaches, unfortunately, two things. They're very narcissistic. So they're very consumed with themselves. So they think if people aren't like me, there's something wrong with them. Or they truly don't, they've never struggled. Or like Dakota's so nice. I think you said something nice a few weeks ago. Like, what did you say? I don't remember. You were like, really, you're like made it really nice. And I was like, no,
It
they just
was
are dumb.
no, it was about like coaches, they don't understand what was it? Where their knowledge stops.
Yes, where their
And
knowledge
I
stops.
love
yeah,
that.
they just don't understand. And so then, yeah,
Yeah, you're
anyways,
right.
I don't remember really what it
No,
was,
that
but
was exactly what it was, and so I that maybe there's 3 things there, right? Instead of saying, "Amanda, I don't know how to help you," they just said, "Suck it up and figure it out," which can hurt the client in the long run. Like, if you are working with a coach and you're struggling with binge eating and they continue to tell you to get back on plan, suck it up and deal with it. Like, what else did she say to you? Like, "I don't know what's wrong with you."
Oh,
Like,
she was like this was only like maybe the second time the whole journey I told her I was struggling. So I was like really trying. Like
you were probably really struggling
I
at that point. You
was,
were like, "Help, help, help."
yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, do you really think that you can stay on a calorie deficit? It doesn't seem like you can. And I was just
that's
like,
not even what it's about at that point.
she's like,
Oh,
so
I can't
maybe
with that.
she was like,
It
maybe
was
you
so
should just like
sad.
really understand like you can't stay in one. So maybe like you should like maintain. And I was like, wow. I was just like, I felt broken because you're turning to these people that have all this knowledge. I wasn't a coach yet, so I had no idea. And I trusted her and she was very nice the way she said it, but she just like, maybe you just can't stick to one. And I was like,
Oh my gosh. So she instead of holding a mirror
Freaking
up to herself and saying, "How can I help this client?" this is what a good coach does. And this is what all of us do really well at. Dakota does well at this. Amanda does well at this. But it's because you guys have, learned how to do this. I always tell you, when your client's not being successful, look at yourself first as a coach. What am
Exactly.
I doing wrong? Why are they not being successful? What strategies are we not implementing that is making them not get to their goals? And for you, Amanda, that's really sad. I'm sorry you went through that, but we've
Thank you.
talked about this before. Like, if you're working with a coach and they're like basically making you feel, that's a shitty feeling. If you have a coach that's like, well, I guess you can't stay in a deficit, like you'll never reach your goals. Like, that's a terrible feeling because you're just like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do
Well,
this?
and then why would she wanna reach out for help again and
Yeah.
next time she binges, you
She
know?
shamed her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, even if she didn't mean to, that's how it came across, and, I would feel like, "Oh my gosh," just like
Yeah.
you said, Amanda, "There's something wrong with me. What's wrong with me?"
Yeah.
What's wrong
That's how
with me? Yeah.
So I took the only good thing about that is I took that and now I never forget that when a client reaches out and
Mhm.
they're
Oh,
like,
I'm
I'm
sure.
struggling. I'm like, what can we do? Let's work together because
I know,
it's
yeah.
not you. Let's change the approach. And I make sure they know it's not them. And
Thank
I
you
tell them that
for
I
telling.
struggled and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
thanks for telling me that. Like,
yeah,
Yes.
I had a client recently tell me that she'd struggled with binge eating. We've been working together for 4 months. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, thank you so much for telling me.
yeah,
And I said, but I wish you would have told me sooner, because if you could have told me sooner, we could have attacked this way easy. Like, and then literally we started implementing things within a week. She's like, I haven't binged in a week. And I'm like, see, we got this. Like, it's okay.
Sometimes it just takes time to build that trust too. That trust isn't
Yeah.
automatically there for some people. So, like, you had to take that time to build that trust with her, Brooklyn.
Yeah, you're right.
true.
You're right. I know. That's so hard for me as a coach, because I'm like,
Because
just
you've
tell
told
me
me
all
that.
your hard stuff. I want to fix it all now. Tell me your trauma and everything. Let's fix it.
A lot of people have walls
Oh, I
for
know.
reasons. For
My
reasons.
clients, I swear my clients have like the thickest walls. I have one client that I've been working with for a minute. She'll listen to this and she'll giggle. I always tell her she's an onion. She's an onion, and every time I have a call with her, even though we've been working together for a while, I'm like, I just get one little slice of onion from you every time. I just peel and then I peel and she goes, but I think we're getting to the center of the onion. I'm like, yes, I think we're at the center of the onion finally.
Yeah. And well, but sometimes I wonder, like, people don't know what to share or how much to share, or, you
Yeah.
know, unless we ask probing questions or
The right questions as a
the right
coach.
I shouldn't say
Yeah.
probing. Yeah, I
Yep.
should say the right questions. But, and it's like that trust, and then as well as just being able to communicate and, really, I mean, we've talked about this before, but
Yeah.
having kind of like that friendship where you feel like you can share that and know that that person's on your side. Again, trust.
I think that's huge, Dakota. Like, and it also comes back to like the initial conversation with the client too. Like, you should never feel afraid to tell your coach when you screwed up. And if
Mhm.
you are afraid or nervous to tell them, that means they're not doing their job properly. Mind you, like I'm sure I have a few clients that get really nervous. Like, I had one client, she's like, we got off the call, or at the end of the call, she goes, honestly, I was really scared about today's call. I'm like, why? And she goes, I was scared like that you were gonna make me feel like shit because I just told you how shitty I did last week. And I said, but through our call, I said, I didn't hear about the shitty stuff you did. I heard about all the good stuff you did. So
Mhm.
also, like, as a coach, like, you should also always end your calls with your clients on a positive note and seeing all the things they did well at versus all the things they didn't do well. Because one thing I found with women are really good about being really hard on themselves. And if we can learn how to like help them reframe, this is kind of diving into what we're talking about today, having some massive mindset shifts and working on like, instead of focusing on all the bad, we focus on what you're doing better at now than you
Mhm.
were even 6 months ago or a year ago. It can change your whole trajectory towards your goals.
Yeah, and then, like, even just talking about, okay, these are the things that I struggled with this week. Then, I mean, kind of getting into some of our coaching calls, we talk about, okay, this next week or this next month, if you run into these problems, reach out to me if you need. But how are
Yeah,
we going to attack it next time? What does this look like in this situation, and how are we going to carry out? And let's have a backup plan on top of that. And
absolutely.
if you're struggling with these things, please reach out to me. And so if our clients are listening to this and any of this is resonating with you, talk to your coach
Yeah,
and let's
talk to
work
us.
through these things.
we will never shame you because if anything, I feel like I'm a really empathetic person. Totally am an empathetic person. I mean, I literally saw a guy on Thanksgiving last year. We ran into Walmart and he was by himself and I saw him like purchasing something and I started crying. Jordan's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "He's gonna be by himself on
No
Thanksgiving."
one do the same thing.
It's so sad. And he's like, "Maybe he's going like home to someone." I said, "Should I go ask him if he's okay?"
Aw,
So, like,
Yeah.
I feel like also too, like, the reason why all of us are good coaches, number one, we're females. I feel like females are naturally empathetic humans. And so initially, like when my clients telling me they're struggling with something, I always try to put myself in their shoes. Like, wow, what would it feel like to be in their shoes? And then from there, like Dakota said, our coaching calls, like with our clients, like we take their place of struggle and we try to build it into a place of strength. We don't just say, oh, like Amanda's old coach, like, well, sucks that you do that. I don't know what's wrong with you. Figure it out. We
Follow the
say,
plan.
yeah,
follow the plan. That is terrible coaching. There's no solutions there. There's no help there. You literally will not overcome anything if you have that type of coaching. And to me, to be honest, that's not coaching. That is a dictatorship.
Mhm.
That's a dictatorship. And if you're paying someone, I would say it's 50-50. I always tell my clients it's 50 you communicating and implementing, and then it's 50 me trying to, okay, are you implementing? Why are we not implementing? What's going on? And then trying to find that balance.
exactly. I couldn't agree more. Like if one of my clients is struggling, I'm like asking all the questions and I'm like, okay, what can we change together? Because it's not you struggling. We're on this journey together. So let's do this. Like it's not, they're not doing something wrong. Like they're turning to us
No.
for help.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like this is where I think like kind of coming back to the beginning of what we were talking about of like, turning your, reclaiming your confidence in every phase of life, like you have to have a you believer in your corner too. And having a good coach who cares about you, so important. Who understands what you're going through, also very important. And also has like solutions for you and not just like if their answer is just follow the plan, I'm sorry, but you probably need to hit the fire button immediately and get rid of them because that's not coaching. You're paying someone to dictate your life because they're not in your shoes. They don't know what you're going through every day. So this is where like having a good support system and honestly, some of my clients, like, I'll be honest, like, I am their only support when it comes to their health. But you know what? I've also been there too. Like, when I hired my first business coach, he was like my only support in the sense of like, nobody in my community understood what it felt like as a mom with a baby starting a business. It was so hard. And so I had to lean on that coach to build me up. To have the confidence to do what I do at this point in my life. But without that coach, I would have never been where I am. So if you're struggling, maybe instead of just trying to continue to do it yourself, like you probably need to work with someone who understands what you're going through, who believes in you and can like talk to you and talk you through these things. Cause man, do we get in our heads a lot? If like the worst I ever was like with my health was me trying to figure it out all by myself and doing it all by myself. Can you guys relate to that? Like
Yeah.
doing it all by yourself?
Yeah. Brooklyn, I think you said something important there. That if you're struggling, don't keep trying to deal with it yourself. Reach out to somebody. I think that we've all mentioned that when we're talking about like our personal struggles and stuff. We all mentioned, I had to reach out to this person. I had to go to therapy, whatever it was. When we were talking about our personal struggles, we all talked about how I had to reach out to somebody. And so it's
Yeah.
important to recognize when you're in that place where you're just kind of turning your wheels to be able to accept the fact that you're stuck and you need help outside of
Yeah.
yourself. Whether that no matter what that is.
I feel like I always say, like, there's a reason, whoever's listening to this, like, I'm Christian, like, I believe in God. So I'm just going to say it, like, whatever, or your higher power, like, whatever it is. For me, like, I really believe that God puts certain people in our lives, like mom said, for a reason. And if you pull, like, I've had clients tell me, they're like, God put you in my life for a reason. And I said, honestly, I believe that because you might have needed me at this point in your life to help you through this certain thing. I've had women go through, I mean, geez, I swear I work with clients and they go through some of the hardest things. And I'm just like, I don't even know how you are still living. Like, that is so hard. But through that, I would say I just play like, I always tell them, I'm like, I'm just Yoda. Like, you're Luke Skywalker. You're like the superhero of your own story. I am just Yoda, like whispering in your ear, like, you got this, like, you can do this. And then, they're the ones implementing everything and they're the superhuman, they're the superpower person. But the thing is like Luke Skywalker, I use Star Wars because it's a very like everybody kind of knows Star Wars. Maybe you don't, Mom, but like I know you do. I think you do. But like Luke Skywalker is the superhero, right? And then we have Yoda. But let's be honest, Luke Skywalker would not be where he is without Yoda because Yoda
Everybody,
was the one that taught him how to do everything. So, like, if you keep trying to do it by yourself, you're probably not going to get to this level you want to get to. And I'll be honest, everything I've accomplished at this point in my life, from my business to my health to my fitness, and I know, Mom, you're the same. Dakota, you're the same. Amanda, you're the same. Like, I would not be here without, I always call them my Brooklyn believers, but they're my coaches. They're my mentors. They're people that I actually went out and I paid a shit ton of money to. I've invested like well over like EK in my business to coaches and mentors. I did that on purpose. And yeah, like I was forking out a lot of money to them, but guess what? They showed up for me. And at the end of the day, I look back at the money I spent, even on fitness coaches that I've spent. Oh, I don't even know how much money. I asked Jordan the other day. I said, should we add that up? And he goes, probably not. It's probably a lot of money, but because of that, it has allowed me to get to this point in my life. So if you want to get to a level in your life with your health and your fitness that you've never been to, you probably need to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
I did when I went back to the gym, which was a big decision for me. I used to run and I got a lot of like everything I needed out of running, and I would work out in my basement, but I needed to go back to the gym. And I remember my trainer, it was after we went and did the Spartan, and I remembered I hurt some ribs. I kind of broke some ribs. And
I remember that.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Can I
And
tell
so
the
I
story,
was,
Mom?
what?
Can I tell the story? Because I was there and
Oh my
it was
gosh.
really sad. I felt really bad after, but like when you did it, I was like, what the fuck is she doing? So we went and did the Spartan. I think it was me, Alexis, and you and Sierra, right?
Yeah.
Sierra do it?
Okay.
Sierra did it. I mean,
Sierra
the
was
kid,
little.
yeah.
She was a baby because I was pregnant with Brecken.
Gosh.
And so there's this like hurdle. It's like quite high actually.
Like
And I
this.
used to hurdle in high school. So like I know it was way higher than like a regular high school hurdle. And so me and Alexis run over it. We like run over it and we do it. And then we're waiting for Mom. It's like she ran right up to it. And I think in her mind she'd like float over it or like fly, but she ran straight into the hurdle like this.
Oh,
And I was like, ooh.
Okay.
Mom!
Okay.
It's even funnier hearing it again.
No, what's worse about it is, okay, so I had my hip. So my hip was needing to have surgery. So I was doing
Oh.
everything in my power to like
Oh.
my hip. So there's a mind disconnect that is real. And so we did the
Yeah.
Spartan. There was this big hurdle. It was iron.
That's pretty tall.
It was iron. And it
Yeah.
was like a
Broke your ribs.
triangle. And so these guys just ran right over it. Well, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yep, I've got it. I'm going to totally go over it. And so I'm like, hey guys, they were already over it. And I'm like, watch this. So I backed up and then I ran straight into it. But that disconnect, my body didn't follow through with my mind. And I seriously busted like 2 ribs and broke
Ow.
and like kind of, but we finished it. We totally finished it.
We
We
totally did.
totally finished it. And then we had to drive back from Mesquite, which was how many hour drive? So then I went back to the gym.
I just remember we spent like $100 at Arby's. Do
That's
Oh,
you remember that?
I love Arby's.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we totally earned that.
She was
Totally
like,
earned
wait,
it.
why is this $100? What did we buy? And I'm like, I don't know.
Love Arby's. Roast beef, curly fries.
the
Chocolate
curly
milkshake.
fries with
Milkshake.
Oh
cheese.
my God.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyways.
We
back
don't
to
have
the
food
broken
problems.
ribs.
Dakota, do you like those videos I sent you yesterday of
No.
all the food?
That was so
Sorry.
impressive. No, don't be sorry. I don't care. It was so impressive though.
Wait, I didn't get the videos.
Yeah, you were literally
Mom,
texting.
I sent it in the text.
Oh,
It was this guy that like he just like he go ask people like
that
what their
guy.
cheat meals are,
Oh, yes.
and then
he's
he
like,
goes and
"This."
eats them. And I literally texted Dakota and I said, I feel like this guy's living the life I've always wanted to live.
Eat all the fruit.
Like he just
He
eats
looks-
shit all the time, but he's actually quite fit, and I was very impressed. Anyways,
I went to his page. Yeah, he was fit. And then he goes and eats these like massive meals.
to
it's
be a
really-
man in your 20s, what would it be like?
Dude,
Oh,
so nice. So nice.
anyways, Mom, sorry, continue your story.
Okay, broken ribs. Where were we at with that?
So I went back to the gym. I know, sorry, totally off track. Went back to the gym and I was cycling because the only time I could breathe from breaking my ribs was cycling and getting my body moving really hard. And then I could breathe for like a couple hours. So I would do that every morning for a couple hours and I would cycle and cycle and cycle. And there was an old trainer at the gym that I had used over 20 years ago. Loved him. And he came up to me after
Aaron,
3 Aaron, he came up to me and he's a big bodybuilder. He used to bodybuild. He was huge. And
he was my first trainer.
yeah, I know he's so proud of you. He's so
Oh,
proud of Dakota. But he's like, Camille, are you done cycling? Are you ready to come train with me? I will train you for
oh,
free for 2 times. I'm like, Aaron, you would really do that? He's like, Camille, I'd love to. And then as I started my journey with him and him like, Camille, you're going to be the comeback kid. And I'm like, I love that. I'm comeback Camille.
come back, Camille.
Yeah. So he was part of it.
See, you have to have those people, and sometimes it's just like, getting those people in your corner in your life, like you, mom, like Aaron, like was a big person to like, just like those little words of affirmation, those little words of encouragement, man, do they go a really long way. I remember when I hired Paul, and I asked Paul, I said, "Do you think I could go pro?" And, he goes, "Yeah, like you could." Well, at first it was never like, "Will I get my pro card?" It was like, "Do you think I could do well at nationals?" He goes, "Yeah, I could get you first call outs." And then eventually it was like, "Yeah, like that pro card's yours." But like, I never thought I could do that without him telling me what I can do. Like, so sometimes you have to
Mhm.
have people in your corner to remind you, like, you can do this. Like, this is in your reach. Or like, I've had a handful of my clients, like, they've worked with me for, like, a year, and they're like, "What do you think about me competing?" I'm like, "Hell yes." I'm like, "You can do anything you set your mind to,
Yeah,
no
very true.
matter what it is." But you have to have those people in your corner, and sometimes it's coaches, sometimes it's mentors. Like, I love my husband, I love Jordan, and I swear, like, I could go to him today and be like, "I'm gonna start a farm," and he'd be like, "Let's fucking do it." Like, he'll support me in, like, whatever I wanna do.
Can do that.
But he's my husband, right? It helps to have other people in your corner, like a coach or a mentor
Very
who can
important.
not only, like, believe in you, but, like, can guide you to get you there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I think sometimes people get really caught up in the cost, but honestly, best
Yeah.
investment ever is hiring people to help you get where you want to be. I remember Brooklyn, when I talked to her, I was like, "Hey Brooklyn, like I'm looking at hiring a coach," and you literally told me you're like, "Best investment." You're like, "Yeah, that is money that you like, yes, 100%." And I'm so glad that I did, because who I am now versus who I was before, completely different. And just like the growth and stuff. And that would have not happened if I didn't hire, my current coach. So
Evan's great. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He's great. We both have him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've gotta work with people. I mean, and, love you guys, but, like, I got to a point where I was like, "Mom, I can't coach you." And I told Dakota, I
It's
said, "Dakota,
different.
if
It's different.
Dakota, if you wanna get to a level that you wanna get to," I said, "I can't push you to that level because I'm your sister, and I will pull you back because I don't wanna push you that hard."
I remember
So,
my last show that you prepped me for. I remember you told me that after, and I was like, yes, I can tell when you would kind of pull back because I am your sister, you know?
yeah,
And
and that's why
like,
sometimes, like, people are
yeah,
like, "Oh, I'm gonna hire my husband, or I'm gonna hire my
it's
brother-in-law, or I'm
different.
gonna hire my sister." Like, no, go hire someone that doesn't really know you, that you can build a relationship with, because they're not emotionally invested in you in that way. For me, like, it was so different coaching, especially for competitions. It's a whole new
Mhm.
level, but, like, even, like, if I coach, like, a close family member, it's so different
It's
than
different.
if they were to work with, like, one of my coaches, because there's a different relationship there. So, like, if you're like, I've had some people say, like, "Oh, I'm gonna work with my husband," or "I'm have my husband coach me," or "my brother," or I'm sorry, bad idea. Bad idea. I've coached Dakota, I've coached you, mom, like, I've coached you both, and it was great, and I got you guys really good results, but, like, it's better to work with someone who's not emotionally connected to you in that
Yeah.
way. So, work with someone who can push you but also believes in you too.
Mhm.
So just remember, like, kind of coming back to, like, our original statement, like, reclaiming confidence at every phase in life. Part of that is, yeah, hitting rock bottom. Part of that is recognizing I can't live here anymore. I need to make a change. And then part of that is getting help and working with someone who can get you to your goals. And that, yes, it is going to financially cost you. But what is going to financially be more expensive. You staying here and being stuck here for the rest of your life and being on gobs of medication, hating your life, being miserable, or just finally saying, you know what, I'm just going to suck it up. I'm going to hire the damn coach and I'm going to change my life. I can't even tell you guys the amount of clients that I've worked with when they start working with me or one of my coaches that they make massive career shifts. They change their lives. They're happier, they make more money. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy what happens when you finally invest in yourself. And investing in yourself, like, sure, there's a monetary amount on that. But when you invest in yourself, you're actually telling yourself, I can do this.
I can do
And
this.
I'm going to make this happen, right? I can do this, but I also can make this happen.
Well, there's a quote that you will hear people say, oh, at least you have your health. Health is everything. I mean, you can have everything in the
Absolutely.
world, and if you don't have your health, you're not going to enjoy your life. You're not going to be happy. Health is everything until you don't have it. Did I say it right? I always mess
No,
quotes
no,
up.
that's true.
Quote, but it sounds right.
But your health is just everything. I think of where I've been in my life and the struggles in my health, and so important. Like getting older, your health is everything because as you get older, you start seeing people your own age. They really, really struggle in their health. They have a lot of autoimmunes pop up. They'll have, they'll have other injuries that will happen. And, I've had injuries too, but I work hard that my muscles stay healthy around my joints. If you can keep working out hard, get those muscle building and those bones getting stronger, like you're going to enjoy your life. You're going to love your life. And it is work, but it is so much harder to not have your health. Your health is everything as you age. It's crucial. And I am so grateful I paid a coach years and years ago, and I'll be paying for it forever. My husband doesn't like it. He's like, can we just, like you, Brooklyn, can we just add up how much money we've spent on coaches? I'm like, yeah, but it's important. It's important to me.
But
Thank
you're
you.
become your best self. And that's what's
Yeah.
important is you aren't sinking into just being a nobody. You
Being
know, you're
content.
being your best self and
Yeah.
Yeah.
growing and thriving and
It's
you know.
important to work hard for your health. If not, your health is going to deteriorate as you get older. It's just you either go up with your health or you go down. It's just part of life. It's part of
Mhm.
aging. You've got to invest in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I work in a hospital setting, and in that hospital setting, I see a lot of people who are mom's age, mom and dad's age. And I see them come in and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you look like you're in your 80s." And then I have other people who come in and I'm like, I have to check the paper and be like, "Are you you?" And that's like, oh, with mom and dad, they look so good for their age, and it's because they're active, they're healthy, they do the things that they do to make themselves feel their very best. So there's a big difference between the people who take care of themselves than the people that don't. And it shows through the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
love
love
that.
that. Yeah, I love that. To add on to that, I feel like when you start a fitness journey, it could your why change so much. Like in the 20s, it
Yeah.
might be, I'm going through stuff, but I want to like lose a few pounds for some people. 30s, perimenopause starts to hit. And then now that like I'm in my 40s, and I'm sure you girls can like relate, especially Camille and Brooklyn, like you're like, oh, I'm like not old, but I'm not my 20s, and it's my health is only going to get like harder if I don't do something now. Like
Yeah.
so like Dakota said, like it's an investment in your health, and it could be short term that you hire a coach, but you're going to take these tools and the education and you're going to run with this because we don't just like give you a plan and say this, okay, this is how you're going to lose weight. Where we teach you, we tell you why, we do everything. So then I have clients that are like 2, 3 months in, they're like, I understand like what to do now when this happens or this happens. And that plus like putting muscle on so you're not 70, like, you know, falling and breaking things or not able to lift your own groceries, like that's huge. That's like you're you're optimizing your overall health and your like life. Like, so you can do things that other people your age will be struggling with because they didn't have the tools or didn't have the help. So it to me, it's like I'm looking ahead, like, okay, I'm 44. I'm like halfway with my life. Like, it's only going to get harder from here on up if I don't like, stay on top of my health. And I even see, as you see, say, Dakota, like women, like I'm sure you see women in their 30s and 40s even coming in the hospital, and they're like, having major health issues. And you hear about all the time, like people passing away from heart attacks at 40 and 50, and you're like, that's like, now that I'm that age, I'm like, that's not that old. It's scary. So it's really a matter of your health. And then, looking great is like icing on the cake, but honestly, you can't put a price on your health. It's just, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, the quality of your life is everything.
Yeah. I love that you said that your why can change. Like,
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah,
True.
100%.
Yeah, I love that. I
Thanks.
love
Yeah.
that. Everything you guys said, 100%. I think it all kind of comes back like to, originally what we were talking about is just, trying to, I don't know, reclaiming your confidence at any age. And part of that reclaiming is, yeah, like what we just kind of walked through. Like, okay, we hit rock bottom. All right, you've hit rock bottom. Congratulations, you hit rock bottom. That's hard. That's really hard. But now you have an opportunity. I would say you have two choices when you hit rock bottom. You can rise up and be better and work on yourself and become a better version of yourself, or you can stay there and be unhappy and be angry and pissed off at the world. You
You
choose.
can
It's
you
up to
can
you.
fly you can fly or fall.
You
Which
can
one you
fly
get?
or fall. I feel like there's always two versions of people. It's either the really pissed off lady at the grocery store counter yelling at the lady,
Yeah.
or it's the really kind person like making best friends with the lady. That's mom. She's always like, yeah, like I love your shirt. And like, and then the lady's like, this is all my problems. And mom's like, I
Yeah.
totally get that.
Oh, no.
Literally. What? What?
Because I know what she's gonna say.
No,
We
you
just
don't.
we just
No, you
went to the
don't.
store.
Mom texted us right before this and said, "I'm running
Yes.
today, talking to
Oh,
people."
Everybody talks to me. I'm like, no, mom, it's because you're the kind of person that like everybody will like kind of dump on. And then they're like, your mom's like a therapist. I'm like, yeah, I
Yes.
know. She probably knows all. Because in high school, my friends would come over and I remember they would like sit and chat with mom for hours and they loved mom because they would just like, mom was like, would give them all these like life advices. And I was just like,
Oh,
yeah, she's always been like that though. She's like that with
yeah.
strangers. So,
loves
Yes.
you
you know,
girls. But honestly, when you're healthy and you feel good about yourself, you give it to others because you
yeah,
want others to feel good.
that's
Because you
true.
felt bad before. And I have said this before. You never want anybody to feel bad about themselves.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
feel good about yourself, you just want people to feel good. Like that's really important in life.
Yeah.
Be good to others. So
Yeah. I love that.
I love that.
I love that. I think like you hit a low place in life and then you pull out of it. And like I told you earlier, mom, like you hit that low place and you pulled out of it. You kind of pushed your way through it. But now you turn around and you always like reach down and like lift others up because of it. And when you decide to invest in yourself, I feel like a lot of women feel selfish and they feel like, "Oh, I'm being selfish." But no, you're not. When you invest in yourself, it actually gives you the opportunity to reach out and help other people because you go through the struggle, you rebuild yourself, and then you get to a place like where you might see other people struggling and then you can actually help them, whether it be your kids, whether it be your people in your gym like mom, like whether it be like the lady at the grocery store, like it always comes back full circle when you invest in yourself. It's not a selfish act. It's an act to work on yourself and to build yourself into the better version of yourself. So I guess like one thing that we're gonna end on this note, one thing that each of you, so we can each say, that made a change for you with reclaiming your confidence. What was one thing that you did? One change you made to reclaim your confidence?
I had to start. Do you want to go ahead, Amanda? I actually had to recognize it myself. I had to start writing down good things about me and in my life. And then I had to make some hard decisions and do some hard things against what everybody else expected me to do. Hard things. And I kept going.
Yeah, love that.
That's
Dakota
huge.
or Amanda?
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Amanda. And then
Yeah.
I'll go.
That's okay. I was just gonna say thank you for sharing that. So many women can relate to what you said. Honestly, it's about finding someone that believes in you sometimes. If you don't believe in yourself and you're at that point where you're like we all express, you just feel so low and you don't know how to get yourself out of that dark. Sometimes you need to reach out, whether it's to like someone you trust, a loved one, or a coach if you don't have that support. Like I said, it's more than just a physical journey. We talk a lot more mental and emotional big time than physical goals. So yeah, reach out and it wasn't until I had people believing in me that I was like, I felt like I could start to rise up. I'm very lucky. Like, you girls have such a great mom. My mom's very strong mentally. She's been through, I'll just say she's been through hell and back with many different things. And she's always had that attitude like, don't forget who you are, adjust your crown. You're my daughter. Don't forget whose daughter you are, and you will get through it. And you have a purpose, and life's going to be hard, but you have to get up. And I'll never forget that when I was going through that. I'm like, wow, like, you're right. She's like, adjust your crown. You got
I
this.
love
So have
Aw.
someone in your corner. And if you don't, reach out. We are here.
Yeah.
Aw.
Love that. Thanks, Amanda.
I love that she tells you to adjust your
I
crown and more fierce
know.
queen fitness.
Yeah.
She did. She did that for years, and now I'm like, this is perfect because she's so
What a
strong.
good mom.
She's like Camille. Like, she's been through a lot. She's been in really low place mentally because she like just everything you can imagine. And but she didn't. She was like Camille. She rose up. She didn't feel bad for herself long. And I look at her like I would have been like done. She's like she's just like one of the like most fun people to be around. She's like, you just got to get up and tell life, you know what? You ain't gonna knock me down. So I
I
love it.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to say this, Amanda, just because I'm a mom. And I'm like, she probably looks at you and she's like, I couldn't have done what you did, Amanda. I couldn't have done it. She's probably so proud of you.
And I'm like, Mom, yes, she could have. She's like, no.
We each have our own individual struggles, I think. And you look at each other, you're like, I couldn't do that. And yet you yourself, you can do it. It's like we're given what we need and
Yeah.
we do it.
Yeah. Thanks.
So,
It makes so much sense. That's so touching.
yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think it's kind of funny because what came to mind when Brooklyn asked that was it was kind of like a combination of your guys'. So, as one, recognizing really that you're in that low place and like you've hit rock bottom and that you need to change something. The biggest thing is, reaching out for help. But for me, I always have a big barrier and like I always put up this big front that everything's okay. So allowing myself to reach out for help and opening up in that way. And I can't think of the word that that's called, but like it's allowing that to happen. So for me that's the biggest thing is, letting down that wall a little bit and when you do reach out being able to like say, this is my struggle, this is what I need help with. And then again, the support. So it's kind of like a mix of all of it, but it's like that inner piece of me, myself internally having to open up in that way.
Yeah, I love that. I think that me and you are the same there. Like finally getting to a place where like I'm broken, I need help. Like I can't keep like doing this at this level anymore. And yeah, like everything you guys just said, like I love that. I think oh and a lot Dakota, I think a lot of women will relate to that because we work with a lot of strong push through personality type like like you've worked with Fierce Queen Fitness for like 3 years. We work with I would say the classic female that I work with is very type A
Mhm,
career driven, high strung female. And
mhm.
those types of women are the women who struggle the most with saying, I'm struggling, I need help. And I also get that because I also struggle too. I even struggle sometimes telling my husband when I'm struggling. And I'm like, dude, how do you not know I'm struggling? We've been married for 13 years. So like, I love that. I think like part of reclaiming your confidence is getting to a place where you're like, okay, I do need help. Like I am going to finally like reach out and get the help that I need. And I'm going to be open and vulnerable. And I'm going to be vulnerable. And maybe that's the word you were looking
That's
for,
the word,
Dakota. Like,
vulnerable. That's
yeah,
the word. Yes.
I'm going to be vulnerable. Like I've had to do that with even my coach. Like I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to be open and I'm going to say what I'm struggling with. So then that way I can receive the help that I need. So I love that. At the end of the day, like no matter what you've been through, like my mom, 57, Amanda's 44, I'm 32, Dakota's 29. Like, no matter what age you are, and I feel like age is so irrelevant because like I feel like I've met like 25-year-olds who've been through like absolute hell. And then I've met like 60-year-olds and I'm like, uh, you have lived on a fluffy cloud your whole life. So I feel like at any age, like you can go through just the hardest shit and like just like it just like pushes you down so far. But like our whole point of this conversation was like, it doesn't matter what you've been through. You can always rise up and you can get to the place where you want to be. But it comes down to you making a decision of like, I'm done. I'm ready to rise up. I'm going to be vulnerable enough to ask for help and I'm going to make this happen for myself. And that's honestly what Fierce Queen Fitness is all about. This is a big reason why I gave it when you Coda, you said, "Oh, that's Fierce Queen Fitness." And then Amanda said, "Adjust your crown." I remember when I was hashing back and forth with a business coach and he said, "We've got to give your coaching a name." And I said, "Honestly, the only two words that come to my mind is fierce and queen." And I said queen and then I said fierce, I think. I said, because I want women to know that like they are it's like they can overcome anything. And I want them to know that they're fierce and they can women are fierce and all women are fierce. I feel like every female I meet, I'm like, damn, she's fierce. So like that is exactly what we exemplify in First Queen Fitness is we are all about strength, courage, empowerment, and getting you to a place where, man, you just feel confident for the rest of your life. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
That's
I just
great.
want to
No,
say, like,
amazing.
the stories today, I didn't even know. Coda and Camille, Brooklyn, like, Brooklyn, I knew your story because you put it out there for us. Wow. So touched. Because if you look at pictures and videos of like Camille and Dakota, like, if you don't know them and how sweet they are, it's easy to be like, oh, their life's perfect, like perfect body, like perfect hair, like they probably have it so easy and they clearly struggled to get where they're at mentally more than anything. And that's huge. So obviously, like, if they could do it, then you can do it. Like if you're listening to this, like that's what we're trying to say. We've all been in a very low place. So we get it. Like you can definitely get to that confidence and more importantly, like just improve your overall life.
Yeah. I really believe that, like, firmly within me. If I ever have a client that's like, "I have this goal, what do you think?" And I'm like, "100%." Like, I have no doubt I've never heard a client say something, and I've never thought, "Oh, you'll never get there." Because in my mind, I always think, like, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen, and I
Mhm.
really believe that. I
Mhm.
really truly believe that. So, if this episode spoke to you and you're ready to rebuild some confidence from the inside out, go ahead and either send me a DM or comment below in the comments confidence. Let's chat. Let's have a conversation. If you're interested in working with me, Amanda, my mom, Dakota, we all coach for Fierce Queen Fitness. I hope that this podcast was helpful for you guys today. Anybody who's struggling, you're at like either whether you're at the low, you're in the middle, or you're at the top, like remember, like, you can always get to where you wanna get to, you just need the right guidance and help, and did you guys wanna add anything else
Yeah, it's
I
before
perfect.
do.
we end?
I thought, okay, this is one thing when I was coming back and everything, and I decided to do a competition, all I could think of is, I can do this. I can do this step by step. If I just go
Day by day.
day by
Love
day, I
that.
can do it. I can do it today. The next day, I can do it today, step by step. You can do anything if you have your mindset with that.
Mm,
And it's never, ever too late. Never too late. You make those
I love that.
and you just keep going.
Day by day. I love that. I use
Yeah.
that all the time. Day
Yeah.
by day.
Day by
Just
day.
take it day by day.
One step.
You can't I
Task
always
by
tell my
task.
clients to not
Mhm.
future trip themselves. Don't look too far in the future because you're gonna stress yourself out. Focus on what you have control over today.
Yes. I love that, Brooklyn. You always talk about like controlling what you can in the moment. And if you
Yes.
can't do something about it right now, why are we stressing about it? I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can be easy to let your mind spiral
Easy.
like, "Oh, I don't know if I'll ever get there because of blah, 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 blah." And it's like, stop worrying about it and just focus on what you have control over today. Your nutrition, your movement, your mindset, and that's it. That's all you can do today. So I love
Mhm.
that, mom. Like just taking it day by day.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
And anyways, thank you guys for hopping on the Fit and Fabulous at NEH podcast. Again, we've got Amanda, my mom, Dakota. Thank you guys for watching and bye.
Bye.
Bye.